I also found it very. I thought the groove. This obviously Groovejet was like this big. You don't. The first thing I say, your first band was called the Audience, which I don't really want to talk about much beyond. It's really confusing in the book, even though...
What, calling it the Audience?
Well, because it's called the Audience, and you keep saying, I was in the audience. You go, what? Why were you in the audience?
You know what? I knew that was stupid at the time.
Yeah.
I knew it, but, you know, there were like 5 of us, so...
I mean, I love it, because it's exactly like a sort of teenage, hey, we're the band, but let's call, we're all part of the... So we're not better than the Audience. Let's call ourselves the Audience. Won't it be confusing when we say the Audience?
It was worse than that, Richard, because it was actually the Audience spelled all one word. So people were like, Theo-Udience? I mean, it was just, it was stupid. I do think if you're going to call anything, it shouldn't really need like an explanation before you say the name or after, should it?
No.
It should just be. And
I mean, even though you explain in the book, when I listened to the audiobook every time it comes up, I was still confused.
I'm sorry.
It's all right, no,
sorry.
It's good. And then it made me
Maybe
laugh every time.
It. The Audience, just something just to like jolt you out of that.
No, it's good. It was funny. But the story of you, it's one of those. It's like a sliding doors moment, isn't it, with your dad, Peter Howitt? You getting the CD, and because you sort of saw yourself as an indie performer and weren't interested in working with
dance music at all.
Music.
Yeah, because I think, I mean, now we're really used to the fact that people can, you know, hop between different genres. That's completely normal. But in the 90s, things were not this way. You know, you nailed your colours to that mast, and I was very much an indie kid. You know, Melody Maker, Enemy every week, knew all those bands. They were all over my wall in my bedroom. So when the Audience, sorry, the band, split the Audience when they split up. I was high and dry, but the idea of moving into a different genre just wasn't in my head at all. Yeah. So when I was sent this instrumental track with a view to potentially singing on it, I was actually insulted. I was quite insulted. I'm an indie kid. Why on earth have you sent me a dance track? And also that was like a different world, like the house scene. That was just breaking out into being more mainstream. That was still something that was mainly people going to Ibiza, and you know, that was where it was. And so it was all a completely like new world opened up once I said, actually, you know what, I'm going to do this track because there's something about it I like, and I think maybe it's good for me to do something that's other, and it'll just be my own thing, and the music press on that side of it won't even know I've done it. I'll just go and do it for me. And then it just took me on this incredible ride, showing me a whole new landscape.
And you threw the CD, the bit in the book you talk about, you listened to the CD and you threw it across the room because you weren't interested, and then found it later and thought, I'll have another listen.
Well, it wasn't, I didn't remember what it was. It was blank. So I was tidying up and I just found this CD. I'm like, what's that? And I put it in and I thought, actually, there's something I quite like, actually.
Yeah.
I like it.
I mean, there's in the Beatles story, there's this moment of where Paul McCartney, where they come back from Hamburg, and Paul McCartney goes back to his job and then gets offered a promotion. But then the other Beatles, they haven't performed together a bit, and they say, we're doing a lunchtime show at the Cavern, but you'll have to quit your job to come and do it. And I often wonder about the universe where Paul McCartney decides he'll take the promotion.
Oh yeah.
And how different. And I'm not saying that your music. I'm not saying your music has been as influential as Paul McCartney's. But
no,
if you
remember what it was called at the beginning.
But if you hadn't picked up that CD a second time, do you think? I mean, I think that song was so instrumental in sort of the direction you were going to go in anyway.
Maybe Groovejet is my promotion. Maybe I should have kept it in the bin.
Maybe.
Who knows what would have happened in the universe?
Let's imagine that world. Let's imagine the world where Paul McCartney took the job. I'm absolutely fascinated by things like that.
Yeah, you do have like moments that are really pivotal, and everything changed with that song. So it's the song that taught me the most. And before it was even a hit, actually, before it even did well, it was already really significant to me because it was about a change in my mindset as well, of just thinking, actually, I'm the person who's making the rules here. So if I want to do that song, I can completely do that song. And just having this adventurous way from things. And like when the song came out, my manager at the time said, I wish you all the best, but I can't manage you anymore. So actually when it charted, I didn't have a manager, I didn't have a record label. So it was kind of crazy and really stressful, but also really exciting because it was just brilliant to be doing something again and have this momentum and to think, what next?
You sort of had a chart battle against Posh Spice.
Yes. It's so funny to think of that now. Yeah, that was crazy intense. Wow. So basically, Victoria Beckham was the last of the Spice Girls to release a solo single, and all of the others had number ones. So there was a lot of pressure on Victoria to have a number one with this song called Out of Your Mind that she did with Dane Bowers.
Yes.
Yes.
And you beat her.
Well, the song did better, yeah. But it was really crazy, actually, because the song all week in the midweeks was behind her song. Oh, it's the True Steppers, that's right. True Steppers and Dane Bowers who did the song with. And all week we were behind them, and it was getting closer and closer till on the last midweek there was only 500 sales between them being number one and Spiller and I at number two. And then it went quiet on the Saturday, and I thought, oh, maybe I should just pop to Woolworths and buy it. What if there's only one single in it, and I'm the one? And I thought, no, I can't do it. I've never bought my own music. I'm not going to start now. And I went home, and then the next day we'd sold 20,000 more copies on that Saturday, which is bonkers. And it was really exciting. And because I'd come from a band that had been dropped and, you know, being high and dry, I just really tried to take everything in, because I knew at the time, like, that doesn't happen very often in anyone's life. So I was like, okay. Yeah. Try and remember it all.
And do you think your manager regrets letting you go before, just at that point in your career, or did he?
No, I don't think he did. He's a nice man. He's called Martin. I still see him around sometimes, and he was part of the indie side of things. I think again that shows, you know, it was still that old school way of, you know. Yeah. He said, "Oh, I wish you all the best. I don't really quite understand what you're doing with the dance thing, but I wish you all the best." And he said, and one bit of advice: don't. You're going to get offers to go and sing in lots of clubs up and down the UK. Don't do it, because it's a bit of you'll get stuck there and you won't be able to emerge. And I was like, yeah. And then as soon as I got these offers, I was like, hell yes. I sang at literally all of those clubs. I was like, so happy to be working. I just thought, yeah, I don't care if I get, like, yes, count me in.
So you were driving around the country just doing like 10-minute spots in clubs and then doing another club. And
the quickest in and out was 11 minutes from pulling up to singing and then coming out, because obviously I only had Groovejet anyway. Yeah. And so I'd go into these clubs and they were like, I don't know, called things like Equinox, and I'd have to wait in the manager's office before they'd call me out into the main club. So you'd get there and it'd be like 1 a.m. and coming through the walls. And there'd be like some like page 3 calendar on the wall and bright lighting, and I was like, oh man. And then you'd get pulled out and they'd often not know who I was, so I'd either get introduced to Spiller, or they'd say, like one night they said, Sarah Alabaster. And I was like, whatever, sing Groovejet, thank you, back in the car.
Would people like did that blow people's minds that you were actually turning up in clubs?
No, because that's very much the thing, you know. Right. If you've got like a house hit, then I used to see other singers doing the same thing. It was a circuit, you know, all these a lot of female singers would be backstage, and then they'd go out, and some of them were singing on maybe 2 or 3 really big songs, like songs you know, things that were all over the radio. And yeah, I was just really grateful. I mean, I'd really come from thinking that was the end of my singing career, so to be back working was awesome.